What's happening, everyone? It's Friday, June 4th, 2021, and you're tuned in 2.5 Hoopers, Gerald Green's favorite basketball podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Lehman. With me, I have Josh Rhodes, as always.
Hey, guys.
No George again. He's actually on Pacific Standard Time now, so good for him. Mm-hmm. But Katarina Martin, friend of the show, graduated today, so big hand for her. And they're doing some festivities. We tried to wait till 11 for him. They're still partying hard like it's 1999, so he simply is not here. But me and Josh we're just gonna have a little conversation. We're gonna talk about some fun stuff, like a lot of teams eliminated, 5 teams gone fishing. Then only other game we're going to talk about, Mavs taking the series lead, 3-2 on the Clippers. Road court advantage is real. And then we're going to preview 2 of the second-round matchups coming up, Nets, Bucks, and Hawks, Sixers.
George, this might be the last Lakers podcast, or the last podcast for a while that we're able to talk about the Lakers, and he's not here.
Anyone who's a fan of entertainment is losing today because George talking about a Lakers first round exit. And as we say that, he texts me, if you could hook it up with a ride, it would be very appreciated. So he can't make the pod, but he can ask for a ride to jacuzzi night at Cole Wakeham's house. That's good. All right. Let's get straight into this. If you like what you hear, make sure to follow us at TH Hoopers, Instagram and Twitter. Drop a comment. We'll follow back and we'll answer it. Jay Sports, another great question. Will Embiid play game 1 against the Hawks? Great question. We both have our answers and our predictions. We're no doctors. We don't have the doctor here, George. But we're going to tackle that in our preview for HawksSixers. And we'll get back to you on that one, Jay Sports, so stay tuned. I know you will, though. You always stay tuned. But yeah, starting it off, Mavs beat the Clippers 105-100 in LA to take a 3-2 series lead. Like I said, road court advantage, huge in this first round of the playoffs. We're looking at a hobo sweep. As Trey Kirby calls it, no home team winning. All on the road. They're just taking it one game at a time. So it would seem if we do our predictions, the Clippers will get game 6, but we'll get to that. Dallas really rattled off a run in the third, 33-21. But Luka Doncic, man, he's insane in the M-brain. 42 points, 14 assists, 8 boards. Took him 37 shots to get there, but 6 for 12 from 3. If you watch the game, he was just hitting everything. Except the fourth quarter, which we'll get into, 1 for 8 there. But 14 assists was crazy. And then for the Clippers, first game in a while, I think, against this Mavs team, Kawhi Leonard, 7 for 19. Not good. He was shooting, I believe, 70% in those 2 games in Dallas and did not look well in this one. Other notable stat lines, Rondo, 1 point, 0 for 6. PG played decent, 23 and 10, 50% shooting. But yeah, I want to hear what you have to say here. I kind of laid the groundwork there. I got a few thoughts on here because, I'm a big Luka Doncic guy. But just what did you take away from this one?
You would think 42, 8, and 14 is a phenomenal thing. And then you look at how many shots he missed. He 42 on 37 shots. I mean, you just kind of have to live with that. And they did pretty good defensively. Everybody held under 10 except Luka and Tim Hardaway. They did a great job. They kind of let the game get away from them at the end of the third, and they didn't do enough in the fourth. Personally, at that rate, I understand where Ty Lue's coming from, but the last shot did go to Kawhi. I personally would have given it to Paul George because we've been talking about how he should be the number 1 offensive option, and how the Clippers play a little bit better with him as the number 1 offensive option. They blew a good Reggie Jackson game. So quite honestly, the Clippers were probably in good contention because the beginning of the game, I know Luka was like the only one scoring for the Mavs.
19 in the first.
Yeah, Tim Hardaway got like the hang of it eventually, but they definitely should have taken advantage at the time where it was just Luka. They just weren't able to. Kawhi started like 0 of 5. It was not the Kawhi that we saw in Dallas. But yeah, it was just I don't know. They did start Boban to counter the Nick Batum thing, and it sort of worked, but Luka was just hitting the shots. And, I mean, Nick Batum's still going around the screens. So I don't think it really helped too much, maybe on the rebounding. But, yeah, this was kind of a wasted performance for the Clippers because they definitely should have taken advantage of the fact that one of their players scored 20. And I don't think I've seen Reggie Jackson score 20 since Oklahoma. So
yeah, You're reading my mind. You hit every single point I kind of want to dive deeper on. We'll start with the simplest one. Boban into the starting lineup to combat that Nick Batum one starting for the Clippers second in a row. They lost the rebound battle, 47-45, because Boban didn't only play 20 minutes. Dwight Powell, great game, though. I think the main thing Boban did was make the Clippers, they got 2 7-footers, the Mavs do in the paint, make them fall in love with a jump shot, which Clippers already want to do. They want to shoot shots. Now they're like, 2 7-footers in the lane. Now we have to shoot jumpers. And they didn't shoot them great. Like you said, a good Reggie Jackson game, but 14 for 38 from 3. Still did have more free throws, though. And that leads me to my next point. This is a very winnable game for the Clippers. You kind of hit on it. You would think they win this game. Luka 42, but yeah, Tim Hardaway Jr. only got a score over 10 besides Luka, but shoots 6 for 19, 3 for 10 from 3. That's not a winning formula. I'm not going to say the Mavs defense dug in because they didn't. The Clips just were blowing some shots. They try to do that thing where they come on late. They're down by, I think, 10 with 2 minutes left and almost had a chance to win it. They were only down 1 after a Luka turnover to Terrence Mann. And now it leads me to the next point. So Terrence Mann passed to Batum, kind of caught in traffic there, puts it up. He misses. Tim Hardaway, 2 free throws. The 3-point game, 8 seconds left. You mentioned you like how it went to Kawhi, all you would have put to Paul George. He airballed a corner 3. That was not a good play to get Kawhi open. And then also Kawhi forced it with 8 seconds left. Rondo's yelling at him. Just what do you think about that last play? I definitely think Kawhi could have taken a few dribbles, or if they had another timeout, try and make something. And if it's not there, call another timeout. Maybe Ty Lue can get a better playoff. But just what do you think about that last play? And then if you want to comment on any other stuff I've been talking about.
I think it's just a bad play to start because you put your best player, the player that you would think or that you have game plan to shoot the shot in the corner. So if it's not there, then it's like literally not there. Like it's to the point where Kawhi has to pass or force a shot. And that's just like a lot of game-winning plays have a last resort in the corner. Like Reggie Jackson or Marcus Morris should have probably set something up in the corner. Kawhi should have probably got more room, top of the key. So it's poor game decision on Ty Lue there. But again, I'm not expecting Ty Lue to make like a genius Brad Stevens out of bounds play. But I mean, and Paul George is like on the complete other side of the court. So not only if Kawhi gets the ball, he has to pass it to somebody who then has to pass it to Paul George. So in that case, there's no reason for that. I think like a very simple plan is one of them gets the ball, the other one runs off of an off-ball screen and gets a decent look. It's a very simple play, and with the way that Paul George was kind of letting it loose at the beginning, he did shoot 3 of 7. I mean, I have pretty good confidence compared to Kawhi's 1 of 7 that if they just do off-ball screen with George, he gets a decent look over, I'm presuming, Tim Hardaway or even Luka. If they get a switch going, it's a much better shot than what they gave up. So, I mean, good on Dallas because they did exactly what they needed to do. They just trapped Kawhi in the corner and he forced a shot. But yeah, bad overall.
Well, the main thing is there's 4 guys that I'd be comfortable taking that last shot, and that's obviously PG and Kawhi, and then Reggie Jackson is hot, and then Marcus Morris, love him or hate him, that dude hits triples, and he's hit a lot of clutch shots.
Yeah, but the issue is like where Kawhi is where Marcus Morris. I'm not saying Marcus Morris, because he's like their last resort for like a shot like that. That's where he should have been on that play, where Kawhi was, because you take away Kawhi, that play's dead.
They also, I get if you want to do a Kawhi ISO, although I've never seen Kawhi hit like a step back kind of 3. But if you want to do a Kawhi,
didn't see 2019 semifinals.
Well, that wasn't a step back 3. That was a fadeaway. That's different.
But that's a really good gateway because do you see the example when you give Kawhi the ball at the top of the
It's the Kawhi corner. Yeah, that's the Kawhi corner.
But if you start, but he starts from the top and he gravitates there himself. He gave himself enough space there. You start him in the corner.
That's what I was getting to. Yeah, there's no room to do anything in the corner because now everyone learns in like growing up in Little League, like there's 2 defenders, the 2 baselines in the corner, and you kind of saw the defender kind of take away him going left to get to the top of the key there. He gave him baseline. You don't want baseline if you need a 3-pointer, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ty Lue, it was not good, and then Rondo was yelling at him. I mean, yeah, very interesting into the game. A game that I really think I'm watching it and I see the score and I'm like, Clippers should be winning this because if you take away the other guys to the Mavs and Luka, shoots 45%, might say, 42 points on 37 shots. He said after the game himself, I could have played better. And I believe him. I mean, 42, 14, 8, you don't think so. But, I mean, he could have played better because I'll get to the final point here. Another reason the Clippers could have won this game. Luka 1 for 8 in the fourth quarter. I know he had a few assists, and Tim Hardaway was playing really good in the fourth. But, yeah, the Clippers went on that good run. And, yeah, like you said, they can never seem to do enough in the final because, with 2 minutes left, they're down 10. Oh, they're dead in the water. 3 threes right away. Bang, bang. Or, no, 2 threes, and then a Kawhi Leonard and one. And now they're right back in it. Like, this team is so much more talented than the Mavericks. They have so much more depth than the Mavericks, but they just can't seem to stop Luka. They really can't. Anything else to add from this one?
No.
That was probably our only real juicy game we can get to. Actually, no, this one's pretty juicy.
We got a few.
We got a few. We're going to move on here. Phoenix takes out the trash, sends the Lakers fishing, closes the series 113-100 in LA. Wins the series 4-2. This team is legit with a capital L. I'll break it through the game film, I guess. I mean, they completely crushed Lakers in the first quarter, 36-14. Lakers kept trying to make some runs. They entered the fourth quarter down 13 after entering halftime down 21. But draws even 24-24 in the fourth quarter. Rip Kobe. But big story here. Booker, 47 on 22 shots. The Lakers could not stop him. Number 1 defense in the league. They couldn't stop him, and they couldn't stop Phoenix. I think they hit, 18 threes. The previous franchise record was 15 in a playoff game. So 3 threes is crushing that record. Let's see. Turnover battle. Yeah, Phoenix, 12 turnovers after 4 turnovers game 1. Didn't seem to matter. Just take me through this. I will say AD really tried to fight through that groin injury, re-injured only 5 minutes in. He didn't even re-injure. He was injured the whole time, and he gave it his best shot, but there was really nothing you could do. Just take me through this. Any stats pop out?
So I'll just kind of talk about the game before we deep dive into the Lakers season. 28% from 3. And the 2 big pivotal parts of the Lakers game is the defense, which they lost their anchor in AD early, and the 3-pointer, because they do seem to settle for a lot of shots, and most notably LeBron 3 of 10, Schroeder 2 of 6. Wesley Matthews 2 of 6. And I was watching the game at work because it was on, and I was so confused why the Lakers were so keen on doubling Devin Booker anytime he got the ball. I didn't realize he had 47, but I was
Me neither.
I was so confused why they were bringing Schroeder up, because immediately the ball went to Chris Paul, and Chris Paul wasn't making threes or anything, but he has 12 assists because he gets the ball. Someone has to come help off him. He already knows what he's going to do before he gets the ball. That's not something you should do with a great ball handler or a point guard like Chris Paul. As soon as he got the ball, pass, Crowder, Bridges, someone's open. And it's like, I don't know. It just seemed like they just did too little too late. That first quarter really blew their steam. Quite honestly, I think that they, as we get a notification, LeBron's going to skip the Olympics regardless. I honestly think they probably shouldn't have even played AD in this game, because it was hard to watch. As soon as he came out, it looked like they got even worse. And I feel like if they just came out the gate like, no Anthony Davis, we have to do this, because they ended up mentally picking themselves up in the second, third quarter. But that first quarter was bad for them. I know Booker got hot because he had 22 in the first or something ridiculous like that. But it was just bad because they just were all over the place. They were struggling. They're like, we're never going to win if AD isn't here. And it literally shows. And at just one note, I think this is the beginning of the end for LeBron. I know we don't say this is first round exit ever. And I made a pretty bold statement that we'll probably get into in the offseason when we have one of those long podcasts. But I said that I don't think he has a chance to be the greatest player of all time if this late in his career they go out in the first round. It happened. We'll talk about it later, sometime over the summer. But this is really rough, and especially those last few plays, 29, 9-7, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 42%. It's not eye-popping. It's great for any player. It's not great for LeBron James, who's trying to be the number 1 player ever. And he just looked like he gave up last 6-7 minutes. He looked like he just was out of it. And we saw it game 5. We saw it here again. Yeah, just disappointing for LA.
So yeah, I guess now I'll kind of piggyback off because I got some LeBron thoughts. We're gonna have tons of time to talk about Phoenix coming up this next series and stuff. Because spoiler alert, they're my West Finals pick. Especially if the Clippers go out, I don't see a team taking this team down. But yeah, so we'll get to the Phoenix Suns on another pod because we can. This is the last time we're gonna talk about the Lakers till probably summer.
And we don't have George, so we have to pick up the slack.
Exactly. So yeah, I was watching this game and I was like, 2018 Cavs flashbacks where he's like precisely picking his minutes that he can sit because there's a timeout coming so he could get a few plays in before the timeout so he could get a little bit more rest. And it was just hard to watch. Shout out Dennis Schroeder. He did bounce back 20 points. He's playing good defense. And THT. Everyone else, boo. Like, this was hard. Like, especially Markieff Morris. I can't stand to watch this dude play. I know he's decent on defense. Seemed like every time we need a three to kind of shift the momentum, get the crowd into it, brick. It was pissing me off. But yeah, this is the first time I was watching LeBron. I'm like, this is not the same LeBron where it's like, don't bet against LeBron. Like, he'll win you that. Like, if you need a game, he'll win you it. And I'm not saying he won't bounce back next season with this, an actual offseason, an actual rest. But I'm kind of hedging my cards here. I don't know if it was the injury or something, but he looked pretty spry. But he just didn't seem like he looked better than the last game. He seemed like he was taking the game a little bit more serious. But this was not the LeBron. I'm like, he will put you on your back and he'll put you to the promised land. It was LeBron that's like, he's trying, but there's a little something missing. There's a little piece of the puzzle missing for LeBron James. Anything else for Lakers?
Well, I guess I will get into the Lakers thing.
Was this a successful season for Lakers?
I knew you were going to ask me that. No, not at all, actually. Not because they were successful in the aspect that they lost AD for a good amount of time. They lost LeBron for a good amount of time. They had neither of them for a good amount of time. Still made the playoffs, barely, but still they did. However, I do want to think that this series kind of proved that not only can LeBron essentially not do it, but he just didn't have anything. But it's hard because you kind of brought it up about the whole, like, he's trying, but he's just not going to piggyback anymore. And that makes sense. He's going to be 37 at the end of the year. He's 36 now. I think the Lakers have a lot more holes, and this series kind of showed it because, again, with any good team, like, they're going to have bad games where their defense isn't there, where their shot isn't there. The Lakers have proven consistently now that they just can't get either of them to work, or not the same game at least. And they rely very heavily on LeBron and AD, where we were kind of thinking a little bit less, because I knew we brought Schroeder in for that third option. I also don't like his ego. I think that we're better off doing a sign and trade or just letting him walk. I kind of just don't like how he meshes with the team. It kind of ruins it. But again, I don't think it was a successful season for them, because despite the injuries, because a lot of teams suffer from injuries, Lakers probably a bit more because of the stars. The Suns exposed a lot of holes that this team has, and I don't know if they have the right, like, executive team to fix those holes without settling with the fact that we have LeBron and Anthony Davis, because that's what they did last year. They got Schroeder, but that's kind of it. Oh, and they got Trez too, who they didn't play this series, so that was awesome. But yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna give us till the 20-minute mark of this pod, because it's not fair if we spend so much time on Lakers and then we're gonna probably go, yeah, Blazers good season. Moving on. So we're gonna wrap it up here. But yeah, main thing, Lakers changed their identity this offseason, and it seemed like they had more talent, but they didn't have guys. They missed the Dwights, they missed the JaVales, they missed the
glue guys, exactly.
God, if I'm gonna say the Danny Greens, they missed them, and it was just tough. One person I don't think we really missed was Rondo. I think Schroeder gave us pretty good Rondo type things as far as intensity, but
yeah,
it was tough to watch. And then one main thing besides injuries, Lakers never figured out their big man rotation. They brought in Drummond, and they had Harrell, Marcus All, and Drummond, who they can't play at the same time, any of them. When you already have when you already have your best center in the league, Anthony Davis, actually no, he's third now because he can't stay healthy. But yeah, for 40 seconds, I just want to get your opinion. Do the Lakers need to talk to AD and just say, hey, there's something wrong. You're 27 and you can't stay on the court for more than 3 days? I've started calling him Anthony Day-to-Day Davis, like, because I didn't make it up. I saw it somewhere, and it was really, really funny. But is there something? Is he just one of those frail guys, or is there something in the training? Is something in the food he's eating? Like, can he not stay on the court?
Well, you said 40 seconds and you're going to give me 10. I'm going to just say real quickly, it's just he's been slaughtered. No, and we kind of underestimate how much he got absolutely abused in the Pelicans franchise. And now he's coming here, and it's just the same thing. Bad off season too. They had like a month off, so I know he can't stay healthy completely, but just closing it off. I mean, I think he's just one of those players where it's like you kind of have to watch him because he is indeed a freak of nature. He fits into the Embiid and Giannis's, and I just think that just to be safe, like he's just not a player you should be thinking is going to play 82.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, we'll get way into when we do our. We're probably going to go by division and do a best off season that can happen going by division. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on. Nuggets beat the Blazers 126-115 in Portland. Another road victory.
Game 7.
Close out the series 4-2. No Game 7 CJ. I actually got this prediction right. One of the two I got right as far as games. We'll get to the next one as well. But yeah, I had Denver in 6. They win this one. Denver just. I mean, they win the fourth. They win the fourth quarter by 14 points, double the Blazers. Jokic for the third time in this series scores over 30. This time 36, 8 and 6 on 22 shots. MPJ though really got them going. Hit 6 threes in a row in the first quarter.
So many.
Finished 10 for 19. Didn't hit another 3. Ended up going 6 for 12. Kind of cooled off. Aaron Gordon officially put the dagger in the Blazers' hearts at the end of this. I'll let you kind of talk a lot about this series because you look upset. But one thing I noticed, every close game, Nuggets came out on top when Blazers have a top 3 clutch player in the league. It obviously goes Austin Rivers 1. You could pick the 2, then Dame 3. So, I mean, just what'd you see this game? What'd you see this series? Let's not get to was a successful season for the Blazers just yet. Let's stick on this game in this series.
So dumb. So dumb. This is, yeah. I'm just going to say this now because nobody's going to ever understand what I'm saying unless they watch the game themselves. Then there's no reason for the Nuggets to have won this game in the slightest. The Blazers led the entire time. They held Jokic to a decent amount. And nobody's going to say the reason the Nuggets won this game, not the 36 from Nikola Jokic. No, it's Michael Porter. He's the only reason they had offense. First 3 quarters. He's the only reason they stayed in it just a little bit. Like they were squeezing in it. They barely beat them in the third quarter. Fourth quarter, the Blazers absolutely blew it. They just stopped missing. They just stopped making the shots they normally make. And I know Dame and CJ weren't shooting as good, but there's no reason for them to like they're just. His team is just so. Both these teams are so heavily offensive that again, it is the first to 120 series, but like the Blazers had multiple opportunities, and I think they kind of lost steam. We're kind of seeing what we saw in 2018 when Dame kind of, or was it 2019? I think it was 2019. They made the conference finals. Yeah. It's the same thing where they have a really good first half, and in the second half they kind of just slowly like let go of the gas pedal. They stop trying to create as hard for more space. They just kind of huck it up, doesn't go in. And this is the same thing, and a lot of it has to do with their Game 5 loss. That's definitely a game they're sitting down and going, we should have won that game. We should be trying to go home and upset. Now we're fighting under, and it's like at a point where, like, do we even keep trying? Like they did decent on Jokic, and in the fourth quarter he started hitting, and they just didn't have a response. And it's a shame, but it is what it is. This team went in all on offense, and it's funny because their offensive players can't put the ball in the basket sometimes. So
I get what you're saying as far as like, yeah, you got to watch the game to figure out why Portland shouldn't have lost this one. Denver should have probably went home to a Game 7, but they shoot worse from the field and three-pointer. They take less free throws. They lose the assist battle, the rebound battle. And then they also have, let me make sure I get this right, 4 more turnovers than the Nuggets. They have 16 in this one.
Yeah, it's a big turnover battle because Portland's the number 1 team in turnovers with the least amount. Mm-hmm. And they kind of shot themselves in the foot with this one.
Who does the game ball go to for the series? And it can't be Jokic as far as on Denver's squad. Is it Rivers? Is it Morris? Is it Porter?
It's Monte Morris. It's 100% Monte Morris. Yeah, because he puts in, he's there. He's doing Will Barton and Jamal Murray's job as best as he can because Campazzo isn't doing anything crazy. He's like their they're Ricky Rubio, who plays like 20 minutes. He does the cool passes and gets a couple shots in. But I mean, Austin Rivers, he's had a couple good games where he hits important shots for them. But Monte Morris is just doing absolutely crazy things. Him and JaMychal Green have definitely made it seem like the Nuggets aren't missing players. They come off the bench and the gas pedal does not, there's no letting up on the gas pedal. And I think Monte Morris definitely gets the game ball for the series for the Nuggets, if Jokic obviously is out of the question.
We were both wrong. We said Denver does not win the series without Will Barton. They did it, and Will Barton might as well have not been playing. He was dripping on the sideline.
Will Barton might be at no fur to guard Devin Booker next series.
He is the opposite of Serge Ibaka. Like Serge Ibaka is like trying to on the sideline. Will Barton, just a jeans and a button down with the top 3 unbuttoned. He was on the chest fly. He was looking sick. He was looking great. Was it a successful season for the Portland Trailblazers?
Absolutely not. They went all in on offense, and then they just simply – now they're in a pickle because Norman Powell's a free agent. They got to figure out what they want to do with Dame and CJ because at some point you got to rethink. And I know it's hard because Me
and George were talking last night. You trade CJ. You got to
as a fan, I don't want to see Dame and CJ split up, and I honestly think that ruins any chance of Portland winning anything because – I don't think Dame's going to be the same without CJ. That's just something that it's deeper than basketball. And if you just change that up, it'll be very hard for Dame to collide with whoever. But they got to make a big decision there. They got to figure out what they want to do in terms of benches. They're not really playing anybody beside Anthony Simons, Carmelo Anthony, and Cantor. They got to figure out what they want to do there. They got a lot of question marks that are not named Damian Lillard, because they went all in on offense with the Gary Trent, Norman Powell, because now they don't have a cushion for CJ when they trade him, if or when they trade him, because that's they gave up their only plan B basically, and now all their plan A is failed, and they don't have a backup. So I don't think it was a successful season considering they got bottom of the playoffs where we've seen them, and they can't even get out the first round.
Yeah, all great points. We'll just say, no matter what you do, you got to get Dame's blessing, especially if it's trading CJ or like letting go of Terry Stotts. But they and then another thing I brought up with George last night as we were eating Dave's Hot Chicken in the Bowling Alley parking lot. They haven't been a player in free agency in like 5 years because they're so cap strapped, because they got Dame and CJ on absolute maxes, and then they got Nurkic on almost a near max. I mean, they're gonna. I would sign a trade.
Paying Hassan Whiteside.
They're probably still paying Hassan Whiteside. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. They're going to have to get creative this offseason. They only got Melo because, Dame and CJ were in his comments for like 8 months. Yo, bro, good work. Come to Portland. And then they barely got him. They barely got Melo. So, yeah, there's a lot of offseason. This is one of the best teams, I think, as far as offseason talk. So I'm going to shelf it. We're going to move on here. Let's see. Next game. You want to talk about Hawks and Knicks? The supposed best series is going to go 7 no matter what. MSG is going to be rocking. Bunch of horse. Hawks beat the Knicks, close them out in MSG, 103-89 to win the series, 4-1. Knicks only take game 2. And this series was my most hyped series. I was very excited about this one. Hawks come out and they win every single quarter besides the first where they tie. Trae Young, 36, 9 assists, 28 shots to get there. Did fall in love with the 3, but it's okay. I'll just
got absolutely stayed.
Randall ended up with a good stat line, but it was basically over by the time he was starting to cook there. Reggie Bullock, 40 minutes. Hallelujah. Yeah, I'll just say something about the Hawks here. Trae Young, the Knicks, he's a villain. He's a menace to society. I know the whole MSG beef and stuff, but the one thing that pushed it over. So MSG's given, the Knicks a standing ovation because a great season, obviously. There's like 30 seconds left. Trae Young, as they're giving them a standing ovation, step back 3 from the logo, Cash takes a bow. Like, he's insane. Like, this, he lives for the moment. And the second half, no chance. Because in the first half, he was feeding off it. He was feeding off MSG. And it was not healthy. It's not healthy. But, yeah, just what'd you take from here? I think we all know Atlanta's a lot more talented now going into this series. I thought Knicks could make up for it with their happy-go-lucky attitudes and their hustle and their Coach Tibbs defense. But, hey, good for Nate McMillan. He doesn't win a lot of playoff series. It's normally a guaranteed first-round exit. And he kind of manhandled the Knicks here. What'd you take?
Yeah, no, I definitely underestimated the Hawks. I was kind of in the same boat as you. But again, just the main thing is Julius Randle is never able to get it going. Somebody on Reddit said that Julius Randle has the shot mentality of Kobe Bryant with the shot making ability of Julius Randle, and that couldn't be farther from the truth.
But he was hitting them in the regular season, which is the problem. So I don't know if it's a spotlight problem or a Hawks defense.
Trae Young had a great series. I know he had some bad, but he really led this Atlanta team. He brought the same intensity that New York was supposed to bring. And I'm gonna, you know what? I was so against it most of the year, or most of the series, but I think he deserves the villain thing. When he got bumped and then he did like the little shoulder shrug and he tightened his thing, I was like, okay, maybe he's about it. Step back 3 from the logo, takes a bow while they're cheering.
Well, they had Reggie on the call too, and even he was like, yo.
He's like, wait a second. But I mean, the big thing for somebody also said on Reddit, which I kind of agree with, DeAndre Hunter kind of has a lot of sneaky ability to become like a Kawhi for San Antonio, or even like a non-vocal Ron Artest for a team, because he is a absolute menace on the defensive end. He is very good, and I think he deserves his flowers. But again, for the Knicks, I mean, they finally stopped Derrick Rose, which is the only player that was like consistent the whole series was Derrick Rose. Today didn't have a great game. The Knicks kind of beat themselves. I know Atlanta's a great team, but in all of these games, except maybe like game 4 or game 3, I should say, they had a chance to win them. And they just didn't, whether it was struggling from the field, whether it was just bad minute rotation from Tibbs, lack of effort, just settling for shots they shouldn't be taking. The Knicks definitely had an opportunity to win this series, and they probably should have, but they just got outplayed. Atlanta did everything they needed to. Nate McMillan, great coach. Even if you think he's overrated, he really pulled his own weight here, and they have a lot of energy going into that semifinals.
Yeah, it showed. You brought it up, like, I know D Rose only 26 minutes, mostly because it was kind of over. But like once D Rose was like kind of hitting a wall, and not like a Giannis wall, just like a metaphorical wall, like he was getting clamped up. Nothing was going. Like you could see in the Hawks' eyes, they got nothing. They literally have nothing that they can do against us now because D Rose was penetrating, and they stopped that. Big shout out John Collins. The offense, meh. It's kind of gravy now to the potatoes he gives you on defense. He was really in Julius Randle's grill this whole series. And I think he outplayed him simply because it seemed like he got in his head a little bit, especially that game 3 in Atlanta, first quarter. Like they got into a little bit of beef. I think double texts were thrown. And like he didn't seem phased by it. Randle obviously was. I think we can both agree Randle is the reason the Knicks kind of never got going, because he never got going. He's their only real guy besides Barry who can raise their ceiling. Because their floor is just, keep the team under 100 points and try and score it, over it. But, I think I know the answer. But was a successful season for the Knicks? Not a successful series, a season for the Knicks.
Yes, of course. I mean, they found the light in Julius Randle, and they definitely have some pieces. I would like to see Tibbs play his younger guys. They really scored with Emmanuel quickly. RJ Barrett continues to produce. They have a hyped up Derrick Rose. I don't know how long he's going to be there, but definitely helped them out. They got a lot of guys, and I think it was a successful season for the Knicks because 4th seed. They've been playoff drought since 2013. It was fun. It was fun for them. Good for them.
Great season for the Knicks. And I'm not even going to begin to talk about the offseason they have ahead of them, especially like we'll start. Randall's a free agent, and I think they have the chance to extend Barrett. So it's gonna get a little crazy.
Barrett actually has this is his.
He's got 2 more years left, so he's not eligible for an extension till after next year. So they at least don't have that. But yeah, overall great season for the Knicks, and we'll be talking about the Hawks a little bit later. Second last game we're going to cover. My third correct prediction. Jazz beat the Grizz beat the Jazz 126-110 in Utah. Closes the series 4-1. The douchebag sweep was complete. You let the team win. You let the team win game 1, get their hopes up. Rattle off 4 in a row with Donovan Mitchell.
Holy moly!
Did you watch the first quarter?
I did. That was sad.
Then you watched the whole game. 47-27, Utah. I think they hit like 8 of their first 10 threes. It was a massacre. It was hard to watch. It was sad. Donovan Mitchell 30 points on efficient shooting, 11 for 16. Rudy Gobert 23 and 15. it was such a useless game. I want to actually start with this. Mike Conley left the game with a hamstring injury. It seemed more precautionary, especially since it was a blowout. But are you worried about that at all? It seems I think he's almost I think he's probable for the next game they're going to play. So and they have 2 days of rest.
They might even sit him out. Like if it doesn't go 7 and they got like, you know what, they might just do the same thing. They're like, we did it with Donovan Mitchell, might as well do it with Mike Conley. Yeah, but I mean, I just very quick thoughts on the game because it was over from the start. The Jazz, they just, again, we talked about the 3-point shooting. They just absolutely killed it in that first quarter, and they did not look back. And this is the thing that we were talking about most of the year, where it's like, okay, they shoot their threes, but if they go in a slump, who's going to bring them out the slump if they don't have Mitchell? Well, Mitchell was there, so they didn't have to worry about anything like that. So, it's a good game when Jordan Clarkson doesn't shoot under 35%. And, I mean,
3 for 12 from 3, though.
Yeah, we won't talk about the 3-pointer. Let's just talk about the field goal. But again, gotta give Rudy Gobert his flowers because he really did not allow the Grizzlies any second chance points, especially in the first quarter. He simply was not having it. He absolutely shut down Memphis in that first quarter, and he was kind of the sole reason that the Jazz were able to just fire him off. So.
Yeah, the most important thing, Grizzlies, only 9 free throws. It was a 3-point game for both teams, but especially 9 free throws.
Well, Dylan Brooks had 0 fouls, so that should also be something big.
That was very weird, yeah. Before we get to the Grizzlies and what the kind of season they had, I think Chuck said it best, I think about a week ago. He said the Jazz is the most complete team in the league, and Donovan Mitchell makes them that complete team because they have all these guys that are going to do their job, and then Mitchell's your floor raiser because he can explode for 40 at any moment. And it's going to be a pick 'em for me. I would probably take them against the Mavs, and it's a pick 'em for the Clippers because I think they're going to know how to defend Luka and keep him inefficient, and they're going to know how to actually take away those other guys and then proceed because you guys are going to score 140 on the Mavs every single night. It's going to be It's going to be a high scoring game. Successful season for the Grizzlies. Yes or no?
Absolutely. They were out without Jaren Jackson most of the year, and they really pulled their weight at the end. We thought all hope was lost for them at some points, but they hung around in that area, which I kind of thought that they would. And they actually made it to the playoffs. They beat Steph Curry. They got exactly to the playoffs. That was a very pivotal game for them. Ja really showed out this year. I know we had doubts kind of how his progression because he started off very slow, but at the end he definitely picked it up. They definitely found their 1-2 in Brooks and John Morant, so they don't have to look there. It's just time and rest for Jaren Jackson, who's an absolute monster on the court. I don't think anybody really realizes it. And I mean, JV is also a very good.
He was probably their MVP this year. I mean, he was very
probably.
Good.
They also scored on Bane, D'Anthony Melton. They have a lot of great pieces that they can build around. And I think if they just bring in some veteran leadership, maybe somebody as a wing or somebody like that, like an Andre Iguodala, just for an example, not him specifically, but just a player like that.
No. You know what happened with him in Memphis. You can't bring him back.
My brain is only comprehending the fact that they could get Jimmy Butler, and that team would be so scary. I don't think it'll happen.
Why would they get you?
I don't think it would happen. However,
don't scare me like that.
However, just thinking about a team just like that it blows my mind. And I think they have a lot of great pieces that they don't have to worry about. And the things that they do have to worry about are very minuscule just to become more competitive in the hard Western Conference. So very successful season.
I just love this team because I know a few years back, the year they drafted Jaren Jackson Jr., none of the lottery picks wanted to go to Memphis. They were all declining interviews, all that stuff. Jaren Jackson Jr. is like, oh, let's go where I want to play. And then, now we see, Ja just, constantly tweeting, thanks, Grizz fam. Thanks, for coming out, all this stuff. These guys want to be here, and they want to play. And Dylan Brooks, second round, they scored on John Morant, Dylan Brooks. They had that backwards.
Some of the most loyal fans, shout out JJ Butter, some of the most loyal fans you'll meet on the NBA court or the Memphis.
Exactly.
Grizzlies.
And we
they
saw
ride or die with that team.
He was screaming.
That's
why it's unfortunate they couldn't win there, and they only took game one. But they had a lot of chances in this team. They got Taylor Jenkins. To start this podcast, we didn't even know his name. And now he's a household name for me, at least. Still don't know the Thunder coach, but I don't think that's our fault.
Quick question. If the Grizzlies are able to win that second game, how different does this series go? That's a 2-0, and they go to FedEx.
I think it goes 7 and they go up 3-1. I think they get a FedEx game if they get that game too. I really do. Because that was a 25-point comeback then, right? In that game too?
That's a swaggy P 2012 Clippers
that
type
deflates because that was Donovan Mitchell's first game back, and that gave them all the swagger in the world. And then now because then when they held up the Grizzlies there in game 3 and 4, they're like, oh, we could do it again because we did the first time, and they're dumb and they're young and they're inexperienced. But if they get in that second game, who knows? But yeah, Grizzlies and Knicks, shout out, great season. So Lakers Blazers, kinda, not too good. But yeah, last one here to a one that's kind of a mid-season. I'll just spoil there. Wiz fall to the Sixers without Joel Embiid in Philly. Final 129-111, and Sixers win the series 4-1. I called a big Ben Simmons game, and he was fine.
19, 10, and 11 with 2 blocks as the center.
Yeah. Little Jason Kidd, kind of triple-double there, barely hitting the assists, barely hitting the rebounds, Tobias Harris and Seth Curry, though. Not Steph. Seth, 58 points combined.
Where's Steph Curry?
58 points combined. Both shoot above 50%. And then, off the bench, Dwight 12, Maxey 13, Korkmaz 10. Matisse started. He only got 1 steal? No. This game, they got to start on NBA Game Time. They got to start giving up the points allowed because that fool always has 0. Always. I've never seen somebody score Matisse Thybulle. Who'd they put him on? Beal or Westbrook? I can't remember.
They put him on Beal for a little bit, and then they're kind of just hovering.
They put him like a
It was a lot of it was a lot of zone for the Sixers up front. But I guess sorry to cut you off because I know you're going to name some of the Wizards stats. But I like how they kind of incorporated Tyrese Maxey into this game. Like I've only played 15 minutes like he normally does, but they put Tyrese Maxey in there and said, you know what, let it fly. And he did. He hit 13. He took 14 shots to get there. But to give a rookie that kind of confidence is very Doc Rivers-esque. And I like it because he wasn't afraid to shoot the ball. I guess I'll name the stats for you. The big three in Washington did a good job, I guess. 32, 24, and 10 for Russ, 32 for Beal, and 21 for Hachimura. Everybody else?
He got Raul Neto. Well, they were out Bertans. If Bertans here, they obviously win. But, Neto, Gafford, Ish-Smith, who the hell am I even naming right now? I know these guys. I know the people watching on TNT don't know these guys. Washington needs to do some work if they're going to commit to this Westbrook and Beal backcourt. Rui's great, but they got to figure out something, and they're going to be cap strapped because I think they're paying Russ Westbrook $60 million a year because he signed that tender in OKC. But we're nothing to talk about from this game with Washington and Philly. We're going to be talking about. They're both our finals picks. We know they're great. No Embiid may still blow this team out. I don't know who rang the bell for Philly. I don't get that kind of coverage on my TV, but I know whoever did it. I must have made him proud. Successful season for the Wizards. Like I said, I think it was a bit in between from great and horrible, like we've been covering. I think it was, meh. They ended the season 32 and 17. 20 and 5, and then they were 17 and 32, and they ended up making the playoffs. So I don't know what to do here because you got some stars, you got some draft picks. Who the hell knows where you're going to go with that? But take me through. Closes out here as far as the Washington Wizards season.
I don't think it was successful because even though we kind of had them in this area, they're still it's hard because you completely said it. They are right in the middle because they have stars and they have draft picks, and I feel like they're built for success. However, my opinion on Russell Westbrook still hasn't wavered. He's just a great regular season player. When it comes to the playoffs, he does kind of shy away from it, or not even shy away from it. He just I don't think he's built to win a championship. But again, they're kind of in a pickle because now they fully committed, especially with the Wall Westbrook trade. I think this is the team that they're going to keep. I don't think it was a successful season because they did too little too late. If they started off hot, then maybe we're looking at a different team, but they just weren't able to get it going as well as we thought they would. And they do have some holes, and I think that they could have covered up those holes a little bit. I know Thomas Bryant comes back next year.
So does Denny.
Yeah, and Denny. So they have some pieces, but at the end of the day, I just don't think it was a very successful season for them. Especially, you're wasting another prime Bradley Beal year for an 8th seed, which is sad. So I don't know. I think they could have done better.
Yeah, I think your ceiling with Bradley Beal and Westbrook is an 8 seed, and I think with just Westbrook, it's an 8 seed. I think you need to commit to a rebuild. You're wasting Bradley Beal's time and your own. Because Westbrook doesn't need Beal to get an 8 seed. He simply doesn't, because Westbrook is going to get you an 8 seed no matter what, because he always has the ball in his hands, and he kind of makes Brad Beal kind of a spot up guy. And then Brad Beal's too talented for that, so I would cash in on Beal now. I really would. But yeah, Wizards, they have a lot of talent. I don't know if it fits. Nothing really fits with my guy Russ, because he always needs the ball in his hand. But yeah, they're going to have a lot of guys. I like Rui, I like Denny, I like Thomas Bryant, I like Gafford, and then I also like Russ and Beal. I don't think they fit that kind of timeline. And I also don't know if the White Claw connoisseur himself, Scott Brooks, is the move for this team as a coach. I know him and Russ go way back, but I would kind of put this at a mid-season just because they did get off to a rough start as far as COVID. You got to remember that. And then they had to, they were playing. I think they played the only back-to-back this season because they missed so many games with COVID. Like in the first one, they had to start canceling the first half of the season. So, yeah, it happens. But, yeah, I think it's a pretty mid-season for the Wizards. But it is Washington. What do you really expect? Honestly. But, yeah, that's the recap. 40 minutes, as always, short and sweet. So, yeah, I'll let you pick, actually. Do you want to talk about your boy Danny Ainge first, or do you want to preview the playoffs?
Let's just get the Danny Ainge thing out of the way.
So, yeah, your boy Danny Ainge, he retires to go play more golf, and Brad Stevens shifts up into the front office, taking the Danny Ainge role as the GM. Now they're looking for a new head coach. So I'll start with what your thoughts are on Danny Ainge retiring, because I know you're a big Ainge guy, almost Ainge. But, yeah, what do you think about him retiring and Brad Stevens kind of shifting up into the front office?
Well, it was time for Danny Ainge to go. I know I talked him up, but Danny Ainge kind of did what he was supposed to do. He came in with just Paul Pierce, and he built a franchise. He rebuilt the franchise. He rebuilt the franchise. He rebuilt them with the big four, I guess. And then he kind of just kept them relevant for most of the 2010s. There's definitely a lot that he could do, but at the end of the day, he was too passive for it, I will admit. I think it was a good time for him to step down because, at this point, let's let a new face in. We've kind of seen what Danny Ainge is able to do. Danny Ainge left Brad Stevens in a very great place because he has a lot of pieces that he can work with. And I think Brad Stevens is going to be a lot more aggressive with that. All I can think of in my head is the Game of Zones episode where Popovich shoves a playbook into Stevens' body and he's like, Spurs of the East. That's the only thing going through my head. I think that Brad Stevens is just a new face, and I think that the fans, the players, the organization has a lot of respect for Stevens. So it's definitely nice that they kept the ingrown talent that they got, and they're just promoting him rather than getting a completely different face.
Yeah.
So I think that was definitely a good move on Boston's part. But yeah, Danny Ainge, not the best tenure, but I think a little bit of an underrated tenure, especially considering how unlikely they were to get a lot of these players. And it's Boston. They got the grit already, and they just needed a smart mind to get all the pieces together. And Danny Ainge, I think he did it twice. So I'm excited to see what Brad Stevens says, though.
Yeah, and I think one good thing about promoting a coach to a GM, I don't like giving coach and GM at the same time. I think it's just too much stress. Like you saw Doc in LA and even Pop, it's tough for him to do that. I think he gave it back and just want to coach. But now Brad Stevens knows how these players fit together because they're probably gonna rework the entire roster. They got the two J's. And everyone else is up for auction.
I think they keep Marcus Smart as an untouchable also. It would have to be a deal where they their minds are blown off. But Marcus Smart does so many of the intangible things that Boston needs to compete in the Eastern Conference. So I definitely think that he's an untouchable also. But we're kind of getting outside of the Boston talk. I'm presuming you're going to ask me about who I think the next coach should be.
Yeah, go ahead. Who should be the next coach?
I'm torn because I still don't know all the coaching positions. However, I want to say just for the record, I don't think Becky Hammon is not a bad option. I think that she actually is prepared for that role. She's a
good option. She's a good option.
Yeah.
Okay, you did double negative there. I was confused.
Oh, sorry. So I think that Becky Hammond is a good option. She's a pop disciple at this point. I definitely think it would be kind of weird because it's the first female head coach ever, and that might be taken the wrong way. But Boston's definitely a place for that. You know, Boston raises some pretty strong moms. Not gonna lie, you see like the coach moms like in the little leagues over there, like
Mark
they got
Wahlberg's mom, like.
Yeah, but I mean, I have to really sit and think about who it is. Brad Stevens leaves a big hole to fill another hole that Boston has. So that coach is definitely gonna. I think the number one priority for their coach is somebody that can mesh well with Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
I think that, and then
number one.
defense, please, because
maybe that.
But yeah, like you said, he's left him in a great spot. You got Jason Tatum, who is probably it's left him a superstar. Like honestly, like this is not a hard team to rebuild. Like this team can definitely be competing with the right moves made. All right, to end it off here, we're gonna preview because we got. I made sure, as I was like, I'm the host, I should probably make sure we get the previews in on time. It starts this weekend, the best series that we're gonna get this whole playoffs. Nets Bucks. Nets have home court advantage, the 2-3 matchup. I mean, just give me some thoughts on this series, give me some previews, and then give me your prediction.
Nets Bucks. So everybody kind of realizes that the Bucks have defeated their demon of last year in Miami.
Swept their demon, actually.
Whether it's because of them or because of Miami's lackluster season and transitioning into the playoffs is up to everybody else. I think Milwaukee's a different team. I know I wasn't on the train with that, but they look stronger. They look a little bit more prepared. They look like they're not ready to explode the way that they have previously. However, this is their kryptonite, I think. Quite honestly, I know we talk about Philly being the better version of Milwaukee. I think that's different because the Suns are not. I said the Suns because of their team. The Nets are just built like the Suns. They have 3 great scorers, and I think they're really going to have to rely on their defense, which has been shaky. I know it was good against the Heat, but we talked about how it might be shaky going to the playoffs during the regular season. We do have to take that into account. And also the fact that I don't think Steve Nash pulled his the card that he's going to use this series in the regular season. I think he definitely kept that hidden. I think Steve Nash learned a lot from his career, especially in his losses. This reminds me a lot of their Spurs-Suns series, where Nash, it was go, all offense, and the Spurs took a more reserved approach, and it's mostly defense. I don't know what the Nets are going to do. I'm very curious. I think the X factor is definitely going to be James Harden here. I think he's the person that can win or lose them games. I honestly think him and Kevin Durant single-handedly, if they play at their very best, they could probably beat Milwaukee, just them two. So it's nice to have Kyrie as a cushion. It's going to be a tough one. I think my prediction said I have the Nets in 6 or 7. I will check that right now for you, because
you can update it if you want. What does your gut tell you right now?
I don't. Oh, so I had Miami actually against the Nets, and I had the Nets in 5 because, but it's a different team. Milwaukee and Brooklyn. I'm gonna say the Nets take it in. We'll go 6. I could very easily go 7, but I think that the Nets are they're gonna go a little bit ahead. I think Milwaukee takes game 1 and everyone kind of panics, and then I think the Nets go up 3-1. I don't think they let up. I don't think they let Milwaukee win 1 on their home court. This is a very scary team. Harden's been here, Kyrie's been here, Kevin Durant's been here. Whether they succeeded or not is up to you, but they've all been there. This is a big test for Giannis and the team. It's something they've never seen before because they've played teams that have stopped Kawhi. I don't think their primary focus, the Brooklyn Nets, is to not stop Kawhi, stop Giannis. I'm very nervous on how they're going to handle what the Nets do, because it's like, okay, Giannis, you can score, but try and stop us. The Bucks are really going to have to dig deep if they want to win this one.
Yeah, so, I mean, luckily you did all the talking, so I could just kind of – you broke the series down great. I just kind of disagree on a few. I don't trust Steve Nash, the coach. I don't trust Bud, but I don't trust Steve Nash to make the adjustments defensively needed, just because of who's on his coaching staff. He's got D'Antoni. Like, that dude does not – no team that plays a lick of defense, at least they lean into it. But, yeah, I just have the Bucks, and I think I agree with you. I have Bucks taking game 1 on the Nets home court. And then – because I have Bucks in 6. There's not a lot for me to like kind of like Oh, what do you think about this, though, Josh? What do you think about? I just think the Bucks are better. I think the clashing of styles, defense will win. And I know like a lot of teams have won championships off offense and jump shooting, like the Warriors, but they also had top 5 defenses as well. And I don't see the Nets having a way to slow down this Bucks defense. I mean, the gap between the Nets and Bucks on offense is smaller than the gap between the Nets and Bucks on defense. Yeah. So
that's fair. I mean, it's a very pick'em-esque series, and I know that in the back of your head you're very aware that it could go 7, and I think George is also. This isn't a series that's very easy to pick. This has the potential to be the greatest series in the playoffs for this year, but I'm just picking the side of the sword and you're picking the side more of the shield. I mean, either or. It's going to be a fun couple days of fun week of basketball in terms of this series.
Is this the best series we're going to get this year?
No, I don't think so, because I think the series it has the potential to be, for sure.
You think the East Conference Finals is going to be
that might be the series
if
to
it's
watch.
Nets Sixers? Yeah, I agree.
Oh my gosh.
Nets Sixers will be so much fun.
That's scary. Even if it's Sixers Bucks.
Philly Bucks, I think Philly might win that one pretty.
No, I don't think it'll be easy for them, because as much as they have.
Well, we're getting off topic. We're getting off topic.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sixers, though, just so George and I agree. George has Bucks in
7.
Sixers. And 7. Okay, so at least we don't completely agree. So I'm not too scared about it. But yeah, HawksSixers. That one gets started on Sunday. I'll just take this one as well. It doesn't seem like it's much of a deep dive as much as Bucks Nets. I don't think a lot of people have the Hawks winning this one, but not a lot of people have the Hawks winning the Knicks one. So, what do you think about this series?
Shout out Jay Sports, because he asked if Embiid's going to play Game 1, and my answer is no. I was torn between yes and no. Obviously, there's only 2 decisions, but I figured that Philly's a dangerous team because they're not going to react the way New York's react. I think that if Atlanta comes and steals Game 1 and Trae Young keeps talking to the Philly fans, Embiid will play, and then next thing you know, the series is over. Again, this isn't going to be in my opinion, I don't think it'll be as exciting as Nets Bucks. But again, Philly, this is definitely going to be a test for them. This isn't a team that they should take lightly. They got a lot of great defenders. DeAndre Hunter might just take Tobias Harris completely out of the series.
I agree.
So it's gonna have to be up to the benches and Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is probably the easiest matchup. He has 6'1" Trae Young, who talks like this, doesn't know how to finish sentences properly, and he shoots the long ball a lot. And I think that Joel Embiid is crucial for them to win this series. However, if Joel Embiid is there, and I assume he will, even if he's at 75, 80%, they don't have an excuse to not win this one-handedly.
Yeah, so Atlanta has a great defense. They have great team defenders. Not a lot of great one-on-one defenders. You got Capella, who can hold his own against most bigs, not Joel Embiid. And then you have DeAndre Hunter, who is probably, I agree, he'll probably take Tobias out of the game entirely. I think he'll make it living hell for him. Yeah. But then you got, Ben Simmons' biggest X factor, because you got guys like Trae Young, Bogdan, Kevin Huerter, who these guys.
I'm not afraid of those guys just because they have Danny Green and Matisse Thybulle, and I'm not really worried about them. I'm more so worried about how they guard Trae Young, because Simmons can definitely be used in a different area of the field, but I think that his main pinpoint should be Trae Young. Yeah,
Trae Young's is going to be going from bullying an old Derrick Rose, who God bless him put up a fight,
and Elfrid Payton.
Ben Simmons, 7 foot.
Top 3 defensive players.
If Trae Young plays great this series, even if they lose, he'll prove a lot, because he's barely 6'1". He's a small dude, and that still matters in basketball, no matter how good you are. Even in the Steph Curry era, you're 6'1". It's tough. It's really tough. But I have Philly in 6, simply because I don't think maybe we'll play Game 1 either. I think the Hawks will take that one. I think we might have a douchebag sweep. That's not my. I think the Hawks will get one more in the In the A, yeah, I think they'll get one in the A. I think it'll be Game 4. It'll be 2-2. Because I have them getting any game. I think the first game, if Embiid misses it, that's Atlanta. If they won Game 1 in MSG, first playoff game for most of their guys, Game 1 against the Knicks. So I think they could probably do it again for Philly, and then Doug Rivers can adjust, something Paul George doesn't think he can do. And then Philly in 6. But yeah, congratulations for the Hawks team really getting here. All right. We have
before we continue, I have Philly in 5. I have the douchebag sweep.
Philly in 5, and so you have them losing game 1, and then
game 1, and then because Joel Embiid is not Julius Randle. The A is going to be silence when he does the little come over here thing, and he's like, "Look at me." Oh,
George has a Sixers in 6, so me
gonna be
agree.
A rough day. Rough
one thing I will say. The Philly fans have a little bit more of a team to kind of back up their chance and trash talk against Trae Young than the Knicks do, so they can kind of be more bold. Maybe no more Trae is balding chance because it doesn't really work. But
no,
yeah, that's how it goes. So we're gonna preview a few games only. Yeah, so only 3, maybe 4, depending on what your opinion is for this game. Clippers head to Dallas, down 3-2 on Friday. Only game, prime time, 6 o'clock on ESPN. Hopefully I'm praying to God we get JVG and Mark Jackson. I really want to hear those guys. But, yeah, just who wins this one? Not a single home team has won a game this series. The Hobo sweep is in play. And the Clippers are on the road, so you would think first time though you were wrong with the Clippers last game. You had them winning game 5.
I did. I had the switch. I had the rotation. Oh my gosh, this is so tough. I'll take the Clippers.
I trusted you last time. I trusted you the Clippers.
Just because it has to go 7. I definitely think Dallas. This is the game that they have to win in order to win the series. But I have Clippers in 7, and just because I do, I'm gonna take the Clippers on this one.
No, bro. If Clippers win this one, it's guaranteed Mavs win Game 7. It's guaranteed Mavs win it.
No, I think it's.
I have Mavs here. I think they had a good chance of winning a game on their home court in the first 3 and 4 game.
Not game 4, man. Not game 4. Don't say game 4 like that. That was the worst game I've seen.
Luka's neck was like he couldn't. He looked like Batman trying to pull out the driveway. Like he could not turn his neck. He had to make a pass to his left. He had to completely turn his body to the left. When that neck was bothering him in Game 4. So they still have an answer for him, and we saw a sign that the Clippers can go cold like against the Mavs. Even though the Mavs don't have a good defense, they can go cold. Kawhi 7 for 19. So I know Ty Lue says the role players play better on the road, and it was true.
Kawhi's the role player.
Kawhi's the role player. PG-13 is the star. But yeah, I think they should run with Nick Batum still at the center. I think it works, but I just have Luka Doncic playing great again. And I need Chris Porzingis. Please give me something. I can't do it anymore. I can't take this dude. He's so bad. I hate him so much. But yeah, I have Mavs winning this one. Please give Luka some help. Please, someone give him a Robin. I think Big Tim Hardaway Jr. game again. I think he scores 25 plus. All right. Let's see. So Saturday, best series starts. Bucks Nets 4:30 TNT. Who you got? Game 1.
Milwaukee. I
also have Milwaukee. I think. So you have the Nets making adjustments after game 1. Like that's where they kind of win the series.
Yeah. I think it's a kind of. I think Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni are kind of play more of a, and they've lost a lot. Mike D'Antoni's lost a lot of game 1s.
Yeah,
I think he lost.
D'Antoni feel out.
Yeah, the D'Antoni feel out. I mean, like, come on, they're champions if they have Chris Paul and Mike D'Antoni should have a championship. Steve Nash should have a championship. I think that they're a bit more.
He's talking about Mickey Mouse rings now. Okay,
regardless,
we gotta move on.
They're a bit smarter than people give them credit for. I haven't seen that from Bud. I think that Milwaukee steals game 1 just because they're more prepared for it, and then we see a change.
Yeah, I think this is the Giannis series. Last one I called it wasn't a Giannis series. I'm going to try and call it here. This is a Giannis series because no one on this team can defend. If they put Blake Griffin on him, I swear to God, and he doesn't have 40, I'm going to lose my marbles. I'm going to go absolute
time for him to go to Dallas.
You know what? If he actually does not have more than 40,
if they lose this series, he's going to Dallas.
That's simply how it goes. Chris stats for Giannis straight up to give it to me. Okay, Sunday, a game that will happen for sure. Atlanta and Philly. I already said I have Atlanta getting game 1, especially if Embiid doesn't play. What about you? You said you have douchebag sweep, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to take Atlanta on this one.
Okay. Yeah, I don't. If there's no Embiid, I think Atlanta just comes out ready. They're playing pretty hot.
If Embiid plays, however, I'm going to take Philly. but I don't think he will, which is why I have Atlanta.
Even if he plays, I think it's kind of like, you know how I said when Donovan Mitchell came back, the Grizz had that game to like get that one, and then after that it was curtains. I think Embiid comes back a little sloppy, and Capela's no slouch. Although I can't, no one. If anyone's like Capela's gonna keep Embiid like at bay, hell no, he's not. He's not gonna do that. He may foul him and hurt him, but yeah. In the regular season, I know Embiid was cooking them, not just like, highlight plays, dunking and stuff. They just kept fouling him because they can't stop him.
He's so good and so.
Yeah. No, he averaged a lot of free throws against the Hawks in the regular season. Wish I had the stat, but I'm not a little nerd. But a game that might happen, it will happen according to you. Mavericks Clippers Game 7. This will be on the Clippers home court. So we'll go if it goes Game 7. If you're correct and they win Game 6, let's predict if it goes Game 7.
Yeah, we'll go Clippers because I have Clippers in 7. I think this is where they have to turn it around at some point. Again, Paul George had the best game for the Clippers, and I think it's a repetitive performance. I just don't think Kawhi sucks as much. And as much as I like Luka Doncic, in my opinion, his last chance to win the series is Friday for Game 6. And I think if it goes to 7, I don't think he'll get the help that he needs to carry out a win. So I'll take the Clippers in Game 7.
Yeah, so I don't really agree there because if the Clips win Game 6, how can you bet against the hobo sweep where just every road team wins? If Clippers actually win, it just makes too much sense. Mavs win Game 7. It makes way too much sense. And Luka, they've won in LA every time they played there. But he's like performed every time they play in LA, and he shows out in LA. So let's see. Kawakam texted. Yeah, he said it's late. We gotta wrap this up. But yeah, I got Mavs if it goes 7, but I have them winning Game 6. Just because I got a feeling. But yeah, I'm gonna call it there. 106 podcast. So just 2 of us. Oh wow! If anyone listens to this, shout out J Sports. But that's new for tonight. Thanks for listening or watching on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe or follow us at TA Troopers, Instagram and Twitter. We put on Spotify, everywhere you listen to podcasts, all that fun stuff. Comment. George never called out on his phone. Thanks for being an OG, and take care.